Hola, chicos y chicas, ¿cómo estáis? I'm making this video for my students in Blackpool, England, and also for my students online, the ones I teach on Zoom. My students have been asking me questions about el imperfecto, and today I'm going to answer those questions. I've been teaching Imperfecto to my students, well, some of them, for a while. When I teach these tense, I tend to teach one use at the time. But now, students are asking me questions. One of my students actually asked, so if I say caminaba, yo caminaba, what does it mean? Does it mean I used to walk? Or does it mean I was walking? And I said to him, it depends on the context. If you say to me, de niño caminaba a la escuela, that means as a child, I used to walk to school. But if you say, yo caminaba por la calle Church cuando de pronto vi un perro, that means I was walking on Church Street when suddenly I saw a dog. So, as I said before, because I teach one use at a time, I might expand, I might tell stories, etc. The students learn them separately, but of course, by now, they are putting two and two together. Thinking, what's happening here? So it's time to make this video. So let's begin. The first thing I'd like to say is this. El imperfecto has three uses. Use number one, to describe habits and routines in the past. So the English equivalent would be I used to. And of course, my students know that I love to write stories and to tell them stories. As an example of this use, I wrote a number of stories. The first story I told was La niñez de Gloria, that Gloria's childhood, and started like this. Gloria se levantaba a las 6 de la mañana, se duchaba y desayunaba con sus padres y su hermana Rosa. Then another story. The story was La adolescencia de Cecilio. Adolescencia de Cecilio. Cecilio tenía pocos amigos, vivía en una casa grande, solo había un televisor en la casa. And another story, as an example of this use. Cuando Antonio era joven, trabajaba en una fábrica de ropa, empezaba a las 8 de la mañana y terminaba a las 4 de la tarde. That's the first use. So habits and routines in the past. This is a tense when you feel a bit nostalgic, you want to describe perhaps something as well. That would be the second use. So first use, habits and routines in the past. Second use, descriptions in the past. If you want to describe to me your childhood home, your first teacher, your great-grandmother, your great-aunt, someone from the past, this is the tense to use as well. And as an example, I wrote a story called La Señorita Gutiérrez, who happens to be my first teacher. And the story was like this. La señorita Gutiérrez era maestra de primaria. Cuando iba al trabajo llevaba blusas y faldas largas. No tenía novio. Another description. Another story we used in class. El perro de mi abuelo. Maggie era mi perra y la mamá de Billy era blanca y negra. Another story. Juan Pablo y Esmeralda. Juan Pablo era médico y el heredero de la hacienda Casa Grande. Era alto, guapo, pero un poco arrogante. Esmeralda era una chica pobre, vivía en una choza con su abuela Dominga. Esmeralda era muy estudiosa. So far we've covered use number one, habits and routines in the past. Use number two, descriptions in the past. And now we're going to do the third use of the imperfecto, imperfecto, to set the scene. If you're going to tell me a story, think in English. You're going to tell me a story in English, you set the scene first. It was a beautiful morning. She was walking along the path. And suddenly something happened. So the setting the scene that it was a beautiful morning. Okay. She was walking along the path. This is got to be the imperfect. Era una mañana hermosa. Ella caminaba por el sendero. And for this part, I've also written a number of stories. I'm going to read one. Yes. I wrote a story called Verónica en el bosque, Verónica in the woods. And this is how I set the scene using el imperfecto. Era una mañana de agosto. Verónica estaba en el bosque. Hacía viento, mucho viento, pero no hacía frío. Hacía un poco de sol. Verónica recogía zarzamoras para su padre. En el cielo había nubes blancas. Another story. Pedro en el Parque Stanley. Era una mañana de agosto. Pedro estaba en el Parque Stanley cerca del agua artificial. En el agua había cisnes, ocas y patos. Cerca del agua había palomas y también cerca del lago había bancos para sentarse. No hacía buen tiempo. El cielo estaba nublado y hacía un poco de frío. Pedro tenía frío porque no llevaba ni chaqueta ni abrigo. Él llevaba solo una camiseta. De pronto, now when you use things like de pronto, de repente, cuando, you need to change the tense from imperfecto to indefinido. But that will be the topic for another video. So, conclusión. ¿Cuál es la conclusión? The conclusion is that you can use the imperfect in three cases. Case number one, habits and routines in the past. De niño, I used to walk to school. As a child, I used to walk to school. De niño caminaba a la escuela. You don't need English lessons. Use number two, descriptions in the past. Okay. Mi casa era grande. My house was big. Mi tía Rosa iba a la iglesia. My aunt Rosa used to go to the church. Mi tía Rosa tenía el cabello largo y negro. My aunt Rosa had long black hair. And the third one set the scene. Caminaba por la calle Church. I was walking along Church Street. I hope that's clear. If you have any questions, please let me know and I will do my best to answer your questions. Un fuerte abrazo desde Blackpool en el condado de Lancashire en Inglaterra. Adiós. Nos vemos. Adiós, adiós, adiós.